And I will start over here on Cursor, and then I'll flip around and stuff. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So I know that we made it, 24 software lessons up to this point. And at the same time, over the last year that we've been doing that, the AI market has like exploded. And even as recent as like the last 3 months, like software development has like changed permanently and is continuing to change permanently.
Yeah.
So especially with the introduction of tools like Claude and Cursor, like the way you can write software faster is really like mind-blowing. And I've been playing around with all these tools a lot recently, and I've actually built like a lot of applications with them recently. And so I kind of want to change our tune a little bit and show you some of those things that I built that are both educational resources and how you can exploit these tools for yourselves in like kind of your own software development journey. And the great news is that like the information that I gave you in all the prior kind of lessons gives you a foundation through which you'll be able to kind of read the source code of what's happening a little bit and navigate it, even though you don't need to be an expert at it. So you have kind of like the right level of information to date to be able to kind of exploit these. So the first thing is, this is Cursor. This is literally a fork of Visual Studio Code that has been transformed into a kind of a code editor environment for LLMs. So the workflow has changed from you like kind of building the files and writing the script yourselves to like just having the agents do it. And so what you're looking at now, and I realize you haven't used Cursor yet, right? You just kind of, you're getting your desktop set up.
I mean, I've used it a little bit with this setup, but that's kind of the extent of it. We've just started to get access to like front end, back end applied.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, there's a bunch of other infrastructure, we're kind of building around it. But I'm going to like pretend like this is from zero for educational purposes, at least for the others. But like, so like basically I'm going to also add a terminal here. Basically you got your standard kind of like setup, except the files are over here on the right, or on the left has been replaced with like an agent tool. When I went to say like file open, I directly went to this Cursor example and just opened it. And then I have this new agent button. Every time what I'm going to do is say agent build me an app. Every time I do that, it's going to create a new folder. So, I'll be in one prompt, context window working on an app. If I want to parallelize it and do another agent app, I can say new agent once I have it going, and it will create a second app and a second folder. So you can see they're all kind of sequential in the folder. And it's all the configuration, it kind of self-saves itself in configuration files within those folders, so you can kind of pick up the state as you keep going. It's really awesome. The other thing to note is that you can select, if I come to like Cursor settings here and go to Cursor settings, you can select which models you use. Obviously, there's like the super high-end models of like 4.6 Opus, but then there's other ones you could use, Sonnet, etc. And it, I have it kind of all set to auto, so it'll just auto pick whatever it thinks is the best. The other thing I want to talk about is when I go to do this, there's 4 ways of interacting with the LLM that you can like select as you go. Agent does everything. It can like plan, it can search files, it can build anything you want, it can write the code. If I select plan, what it's going to do is I'm going to start saying I want to build an app, and it's going to start asking me questions about the app that I want to build until it builds up enough context. And as it's going, it will have a build button that at any time I can click and it will just start building the app. But really it's like gathering the requirements first. Debug, I haven't actually really used that yet, but it's used to kind of like debug stuff like during runtime and do traces as there might be an error that's like really tough. And then ask is really just like context about the code that you have. Like you could feed it code and say, I just want to ask you information. I don't want you to change anything. And it will like parse the code and read it. The 2 different ways, as I'm about to demonstrate this example, and maybe I'll just get started actually before I talk about what these are. Let's build an app. Do you have an idea for an app you want to build?
Oh God.
let's make it a web app. So I'm gonna say I want you to make it a web app, and I want you to make it Dockerized. So that's gonna be something I'm gonna do. But I'll give you like an idea. Let's do a snake game. You know, remember snake game on your phone or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say build a fun, interactive snake game web app in React that is Dockerized, that can be started with docker-compose, which is a Docker Compose file, just to start the Docker container. Yeah, let's just see where we get, and we'll let it crank. So I'm going to explain what's happening when I click this button. So first off, you're going to start seeing these little texts where it's like exploring workspace, you know, searching files, thinking, setting up workspace, building project files. Like, it's going to start to create the app behind the scenes. As the app gets built and it actually starts to write code and like write out the files and stuff, you'll see down here at the bottom, these files start appearing. And these are files that are literally in that folder now. And they're, you know, it's building the whole React like app itself. It's going to build the Docker files and the things that are required for that, because I told it to. And the way it's doing that is it took my statement and it's feeding it into the LLM. And then it's calling different agents that are responsible for doing different things. So if I tell it to change this app, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to parse the files using something called retrieval augmented generation. I have a demo of this on my app of a custom one I built for Stockfish Chess Engine, or on my website. But like, it's a really naive version of what's happening here. It takes the code, it symbolizes it, and parses it so that it can answer high-level questions about the code through the LLM. So that's the first thing it does. And then it calls other agents that are like architects. And those other agents will start to listen to or read the like high-level information that's been written about it and start to make decisions architecturally. Say like, I think I'll need to edit these types of files, and I think I'll need to do these types of functions. And then from there, another agent comes up and says, I'm like the editor function builder agent. And it will say, based on that high level plan you want, let me go look at those specific files and search for the functions I need to edit and start editing them. And it has all these agents kind of happen in sequence. And it even has like kind of like debug and fixing agents. So we might open it up and might get an error, and we can literally just say, I got an error, and it will read the terminal of the error, and then it will like fix the error. And you can like, you know, keep having it fixed if you need to. Occasionally when it needs to run some sort of like a, you know, terminal command or something that might require admin, it'll prompt you, and you just, you know, can click run. There may even be ways to automate that, but like, it's trying to do this because I have like Docker items running. I might have to turn on Docker in a second, which is totally fine. But it's building all this code, and you can go into these files and open them up just like VS Code, and you'll just see lots of code start to be written. And the great thing is, and I've started to explore it, and I have like, you know, 6,000 lines going, and it's like going through these files and like editing them with multiple files and stuff. It's really wild to watch. And Cursor, you know, I got a personal subscription to Cursor. It's like $20 a month. And it comes with Claude. So like the Claude model. So like you can just use it for like $20 a month, which is awesome for your own personal projects. So I do a lot of web stuff, and I'll like post it. If you're not comfortable, first off, navigating how to use Docker or like Node or React, I'm not sure if I taught you any of that along the way. You can either have it do it for you, or you can say like, instead, if it's a lightweight app, just build me a single HTML file. And then you can download the HTML file and open it, and it will run. So I have examples of both of that I'll show you in a little bit. But so here we go. We're done with everything. It wants me to do this Docker com. What's going on here? What did it produce? It should be like Docker compose. Oh, it's starting the local development environment. It's not done. So never mind. We're just waiting at the moment. While we're waiting for that to kind of complete, let me jump over and show you a few examples of what I've done on my website. So here's data structures visualizer. So this is one I built for you guys originally because I was like, it might be easier to explain some of this stuff as we go along. So within the data structures web visualizer, this is just an HTML file. If you go to like the actual GitHub repo, it's like a single file here, index.html that basically just is this. And you can get familiar with the different types of algorithms using this. So I can, kind of run it, or I can even look at the code. On some of them, I think you can look at a code. Maybe it's not this. Oh, yeah, I can by clicking algorithm. I can like run it, and I can watch the code run in Python here. So you can get familiar with like what is happening. Same with hash map. I have a visualization for a hash map, and you can, find out what a hash map is and kind of understand when it should be used. And same with linked list and stack and queue and binary tree and graph. I can't remember if you were here for some of the lessons in which we kind of briefly touched on some of these, but this is like, automated visual description of it. And you can, slow and smooth and increase those.
Yeah.
Same for sorting algorithms. Like if you ever have a question about a sorting algorithm, like I want to know what quicksort does. You can then like watch the algorithm run either in, a bar view, an algorithm view, a code view, get familiar with it. And so when I was saying kind of in some of the last lessons, like you don't really need to know how to program these as much anymore, other than to ask an LLM to program it. You might want to learn how to unit test it or like things like that. But that's really because they can kind of generate all this stuff super fast, which is wild. It's kind of mind-bending. Another one that I have is AI search algorithms, which I was kind of going to show you guys a lesson about before I got distracted with all the extra AI stuff. It'd be better reviewed on this. You can click anything from depth first search to breadth first search to like A star to like RRT star and all these things. And you can see the algorithm run through a maze of obstacles and find like a solution. In this case, the maze came out. That's going to take a second, but there it finds the solution. Same for like branch and bound. And kind of get a familiar understanding with how these algorithms work intuitively. I'm going to reset the maze real quick, and you can get some information about like the big O of these, time complexity, and you can also get information about like ROT star is not really it's meant for nonlinear, like full space, not really a constrained search like this, but it can still work, and you can see it work like this. So this gives you like just an idea of the powerful things that you can do with LLMs and AIs. I built you an AI algorithms visualizer if you wanted to get familiar with like, hey, what's a particle filter and how does it work? And like you can see the algorithm run, and get familiar with like when and when not these things should be used, and fuzzy logic items and decision trees, and just some basic like peripheral cursory information. I also built a control system app. All these were in one weekend, by the way, with very little work. So like I encourage you to play with these tools. But like you can learn what a linear quadratic regulator is, and like you can auto tune it, and then you can add like stimulus inputs and try to knock it over and understand the weaknesses of certain control modes, and do like bang bang control and like see how hard it is to push something over with an inverted cart pendulum with bang bang controller that's well tuned, and everything from like dynamic conversion to like how we're landing like the Falcon 9 rockets with like model predictive control, or at least how like the people at Tesla are doing that, or not Tesla, SpaceX. You can explore and test all these things and get familiar with them. It's really cool. And I'm not an expert in all these. I know some of these, I've done some of them in the past, but like I just was like, I know of this control technique. I want to see it like work. Tell me about it. Like explain to me, show me the Bodhi plots, like teach the user about what each of these are. So there's like a lessons section that like goes through and like tells you, and that's all one HTML file still.
Yeah.
You got an aerodynamics explorer where you can see like, what happens if I stall, roll pitch, yaw, stability, and like what happens if I add more like, anhedral into the wing, it becomes more stable to a point and it becomes unstable. And there's just different things that you can do nonstop with these. I also built like an alien sandbox, like, simulator in which you can like turn gravity and, they all say different things when things are happening. There's just like little creative apps you can build. Rubik's Cube. I built with Cursor a 3D simulation engine that literally lets you like it's a full 3D environmental active game that has like multiple levels and modes. And I just like, just asked it to do different things until I had this app, and it was pretty quick at making them. So those are just examples. These two are built with React. So JavaScript, so the visualization's a little bit better for deployment. These ones are built with HTML because they were simpler. So the reality is you can do kind of just about anything. Let's go back to this and see where our app's at. So it looks like starting local development environment. Hold on. Let me just see if I can do the Docker compose. So let's see, Docker. Hold on. Let me ask it how I run this because I can't remember the command. I'm going to do an ask right here. Say, how do I run this? And should pretty quickly give me an act. There we go. It was Docker compose up. It didn't finish it. For some reason, I didn't let it finish. So cd Docker compose up. So it's going to run the whole Docker. Bind error allocated daemon failed. Now we're going to driver examine. I don't think I have Docker open, so I'm going to just open Docker real quick. Sure, it is opening. Docker takes like a hot second to come up. There we go. Loading. Docker's up. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so now it's got some sort of a bind. Port is already allocated. Maybe I'm binding something. Usually what I'll say is like, hey, error. And let it crank. But before I even do that, it tells me a way to run it locally without that. So let's see if I have Node on this machine to be able to do that. I'm just copying this command in. No, I don't have Node. So let me go back and fix the Docker error with the Docker. Switch to this. And usually it's pretty good about quickly telling you like what's wrong and even editing it itself and giving you a new command to like open. So we'll see if we can bust it out here. Is already allocated. Fix option. Free. Oh, I said ask. I should say agent. That's it. Just so that it actually does it. So it's going to like adjust ports within the container or something to get to work because apparently 8080 was binded. So now it's like run this and then go to this localhost address and your URL and it'll show up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's building it. It actually ran, so that was fast. I actually already opened it. I can open this up actually even in Cursor, which is really crazy. I don't even have to go to my browser. I can, but now I have a little snake game, right? Let's see if there's an error. No errors. It's just a little dumb game. So from here, you can tell it different visualization things to do. You can drop images in to say, I want it to look more like this. I'm building like a bunch of apps right now in parallel at home, like in the evenings, just out of personal interest.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the new age of AI we are walking into, and it's powerful and wild.
That's really crazy. This is very cool. Out of my own like ignorance on these tools, would you say that like that is kind of the primary function of something like Cursor, like to be able to build these apps and these websites and things like that? I'm thinking like in the systems engineering sense, like, oh, could we build like live OV1 diagrams as we're going through different tests?
I'm sure you can do that. So what I would say is like, if you want to build an OV1 diagram, like I would not be using Cursor to do it because that's overkill. Probably build a web app to like show you. I would just go straight to like Gemini. Gemini is a pretty good image generation one. Say like, I want you to generate me an OV1 with these characteristics and keep tweaking it. They're pretty good these days. The alternate option is if you want to build like an OV1 that's like animated of like, these things are happening, then you could use this. And I think it's a better use of like, Cursor, where you come in here and be like, build me a web app or an HTML app of a, 2D or 3D scenario or an OV1 that like does this characteristics and just see where you get with it.
Yeah, it's more like the live interactive.
Yeah. I often like let it build a first prototype and then I say like, now make it way more fun, creative, colorful, and interactive and animated. And then it'll pump out 1,000 more lines of code. And then you like have all these animations. And Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, I'm excited to start exploring this.
Yeah, it's
I
wild.
used it like, hey, I'm trying to learn Linux for the first time and need to install these things. Will you do it?
Exactly. Yeah. It probably will do it for you.
It was,
Literally
yeah,
do
it was
it
really
for you.
helpful
And
for this stuff.
it would install Node if I told it to install Node, I bet. Like, what if I just went to like another terminal and said, install Node on this app, or like Node and npm on this Mac. I wonder if it'll actually work. We'll find out.
It might prompt you to run a few things, but it should.
Checking if Node exists with Homebrew. It's gonna do it.
Yeah.
So Homebrew is like a tools thing that I already have installed, but it checked if it was installed. That's used to install things like this on a Mac.
Yeah.
And so it's running already. And you can unblock the agent, have it do it in parallel, and run it in the background. It's installing Node.js right now on the native thing instead of in container. So wild world.
Back after like a year of asking for it.
I know. It's amazing.
Last week.
It's really amazing. Yeah. Well, I don't have anything else for us. I think, in reality, we can consider these lessons concluded if you want, or we can keep going into deeper theory topics. But I just showed you a bunch of stuff that like it can teach you that I don't even have to be there, which is really maybe sad.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm good with that. You've taught us so much. I appreciate all the time that we've spent on this. That's exciting.
It's been fun. I did edit the prior lessons and I put them on my website. I hope that's okay. Watch them. No one really looks at them, but if you want any of them edited or taken down, just let me know. But everyone looks great. Sounds great.
The last second, I'm always racing to hang up first, and I never get it. So I'm like,
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, they're all up there, pretty compressed and pretty well now. If you want to go back, but now you got AI to help you with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been cool. It's been super fun over a year of doing all these lessons and making this stuff happen. We're just in a different world now than we've ever been. It's like, I think all the developers who only do like software are like, what do we do? Like AI is programming everything.
I saw a really interesting video. If you have a second, you'll appreciate this. But it was like one of the AI creators getting interviewed, and they asked like, what makes someone intelligent? Who's the most intelligent person you've met? And he was saying like, we used to define intelligence as this like technical know, and like software engineers were what we thought was intelligent. And then he's like, but that's actually the first thing we've been able to teach these AI tools. Like, so he was saying like what makes someone smart is like being at the intersection of the like technical astute with emotional empathy. And he kind of went into the human side of it. And I'm like, that's a really interesting perspective, because it is like crazy how much technical know we've been able to teach these AI tools now.
I know, it's really wild. I'm kind of like, why do I have these degrees and like this, like all this legacy knowledge that I had to like learn by hand from like, textbooks and Stack Overflow and threads for like 12 years. And now I don't need any of it. I can just, I think you're still better for the fact that you know some of that, not only because you know what to ask, but you guys have a bunch of software knowledge now. You can understand a little bit of the debugging problem. And I think we're going to have to avoid AI slop code, move to a scenario where we're like doing a lot of like good unit test processes and more building structures around requirements and stuff for LLMs. But I think it will definitely accelerate things dramatically. So yeah. Well, thanks, Rachel, for joining us for the last year plus, and to everyone else, Justin, Jason, and others who joined in and out.
Thank you.
All right, sweet. Well, talk to you later.
All right, bye.